Alright, I am giving this a minute to make sure it's working, and I am getting the link. I should have logged into Twitter before I did this. My bad. One. Alright, let's get this other one going here. That one. Okay, so I hadn't planned on doing a reading today, but because of exhaustion and probably sinus infection, and I've been thinking about the zodiac age readings that I needed to start, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just pull one and practice so that I feel more confident when I go to really do it tomorrow. And I pulled the cards, and I'm like, this is the reading. So I cleared the deck, I shuffled the deck, I took out the cards and did the reading already, and I'm just kind of recreating it. So you'll just have to go on the belief that I cleared and shuffled and did the reading, and I'm not just kind of making it up for funsies. So I'm using the Syrian Starseed Tarot. It's enormous, very plasticky cards, and they can be difficult to shuffle. So I put all these cards in a stack in order of how I pulled them. So I'll bring them out in the same way. And if you can hear the AC in the background, I apologize for that. It is still really hot here in the Northeast. Okay, so I had pulled out the Two of Crystals inverted. Now this reading is for the Age of Capricorn. So we're at the beginning of, or heading into, depending on which school of thought you're in, the Age of Aquarius. Aquarius, if I could talk without clenching my jaw. So the last Age of Capricorn would have been about 24,000 years ago, give or take. And then we're going to be going into another one in like 4,000, no, 2,000 years, about 2,000 years from now. So the first card I pulled is the Two of Crystals. Okay, so we're in the earth element here. We are in our element. Now, the Two of Crystals here has to do with balancing, or a choice for me. And I did a little bit of research, just a little bit, to try to get me in the mood for these readings earlier today. And I found out that the Age of Capricorn is expected to be something where people have heightened psychic intuition. Allegedly, the original unicorn was half crocodile, half goat, and the goat had one horn like a unicorn instead of two normal goat horns, and it would, the horn being the third eye opening and going from this sort of base reptilian material need to understand the world into using your third eye and your intuition to understand and interact with the world. So because this is inverted, and there's this yin-yang symbol going on behind this guy here, you can see it in there, and he's looking, he's sort of, his eyes are closed, he's got his head back, he's trying to look and see what he's doing with his third eye and trying to balance his masculine and feminine energy. And so the first part of the reading that came out is actually for the next cycle of Capricorn in a couple of thousand years. So after we go through the age of Aquarius, where everything is about communication and technology and pushing our thoughts and our bodies as far as we can imagine them, you know, it's the rise of like cyborgs and information and enhanced genetics and all those kinds of things. Freedom. We're using our mind to free ourselves from the earth, and that way it's like 2,000 years of air quality, of, you know, freely moving around and not being tied down to the earth that you stand on. So that's the general idea I get for Aquarius, and because of Aquarius being an air sign, there is a lot of, you know, emotion and intuition as like a background thing, because Aquarius is kind of wet, and even in the star card, which is, I believe, Aquarius, there's a lot of water in the bottom of the card in the Rider-Waite deck. So Aquarius is information, breaking boundaries, moving forward. But when we get to the next age of Capricorn after that, where like we have to make a choice between what's happening and being able to gain more intuition. We're grounding ourselves so that we can use the third eye to understand the universe without the aid of technology. And that's what's going to happen in the next age of Capricorn. Okay. The card that's like the behind tandem bicycle card to that one is the Seven of Orbs. So in this, the Seven of Orbs is the Seven of Swords. It's usually that sneaky, ninja kind of energy, stealthy, lying, sneaking, and in this way, it's like you're going to, let's turn it upright so you can see it. So here's this guy, he's trying to collect all these little like moon balls, and he's so intent on these ones, he didn't realize he's got these two other ones. But we're going to end up being like these people on the ground that are seeing more than what's in front of us when we make this choice. So we have, he's working on deciding what's going on, focusing on choosing his intuition over stuff, and he's using his far-ranging sight to see the reality of the whole big picture. And that's why this is inverted, because we're moving past this. Okay. So the challenge is the Eight of Orbs. So the Eight of Swords is that trapped in your own mental prison, it's illusions. But here, the way it comes out with these two cards as a challenge, it's continuing the sentence. It's saying, you know, we're making a choice to go beyond what ties us down to material needs. We're going beyond, we're making a choice to go beyond what's in front of us, this paradigm of what of thinking what we're told, just the current ideology. We're moving through that. We're deciding to move away from it, that it's enough, and we don't have to be tied, we don't have to be bound by it anymore. So it's conscious decision to expand your intuition, to expand your thinking beyond current paradigms. And the after effect of that is the Six of Chalices inverted. So once we make that choice, we're not looking back. Right. And then these two came out together. We have the Chariot and the Indigo Child, which is usually the Magician. Now, in terms of what's going on heading into the next Age of Capricorn, once we go past the old paradigms completely and make that decision to get past that information age, where the chariot driver is using his third eye to drive his, and he's got 5 horses here instead of the usual 2. So he's going into, it's this idea of change. 5 is like a change number. So the change moving forward is rapid acceleration, like rapidly leveling up in terms of forward progress, rapid forward progress. And the Indigo Child here with the Magician energy is like the guy in the chariot. And if you have heard about Indigo children, it's the kind of souls that are coming in that are just intuitive in general. They're interacting with the world in a way that's outside of just physical touch. You know, what do I need now? What do I want now? What do I have? What I don't have? That kind of thing. There's like there's an element that's in tune with like universal vibrations, and that's why this kid here has this like ring of like nebula ring hovering around his 3rd chakra, and he's holding this crystal gateway at his heart chakra because of this deep, watery intuition, this right brain thinking that's going to propel, you know, living beings forward in the coming age. And additionally, with that, as like an answer to that card, we have the Adept of Chalices. This is, in a regular deck, the adept is the knight. So so when you get to this point, you're going to be working on and practicing with all of this water energy, this intuitive, right-brained, holographic thinking, and you'll be like wave technology. You won't need physical technology. You'll be interfacing with the natural wave network in the universe to achieve information or energy needs and things like that. And the challenge with this card is the Starseed card. This is usually the Fool. Now here, along with the Indigo, it has to do with highly intuitive souls coming down to Earth to achieve some kind of goal. You know, there's a reason that people are coming down here en masse, using more intuition than just basic left brain thinking. So we're right brain thinking, we're open, we're in contact with other things, we have a job to do. The challenge is to learn this right brain interface, this feminine, watery, waveform, psychic way of communicating and solving problems. And it's got a challenge card in front of it because this is what these people are coming down here to do. They've already started doing it, but once we hit the age of Capricorn in 2,000 years, it's like every single person, everybody is going to be on this wavelength. Okay. Now, I stopped at this point because I'm like, well, I wanted to do my reading on, hang on, I'm thirsty. I wanted to do my reading on the last age of Capricorn, not on the next one. So I was like, well, what happened in the last one? What happened 24,000 years ago? What were people doing then? And what came up was the Sage of Orbs. Now, the sages are queens in this deck, but look at that. As if I was talking about antiquity, not only is it someone dressed Grecian, but it's a mosaic. Okay? It's like, I'm going to give you this card to tell you that we're talking about history. It's not, it's like, this isn't a photoshopped image per se, it's a picture of a mosaic. Nobody even makes those anymore because they can afford screen printing. So the Queen of Swords represents this idea that in the last age of Capricorn, we had this, the female, the queen is somebody who's intuitive. She's in the right brain. She's using her intuition. But the Queen of Swords is somebody who is still very much in her thoughts. She wasn't solving problems with the intuition. She was just using it to get information so that she could solve problems in the usual, like, left brain, linear, material way in the last age of Capricorn. So we're definitely into the intuition and trying to deal with the material world in a different way, but we're still very much tied to the base level thought processes. And the challenge, Jesus, the challenge for this queen here then in the last age of Capricorn is the Eight of Chalices, which is the Eight of Cups. So even though she's intuitive, she's not walking away from things that don't serve her, like emotionally and psychically. You know, it's hanging on to baggage. It's holding a grudge because somebody hurt you in some way. You feel you have to learn what, I'm trying to put it, like, I get the sensation, but I'm trying to put this feeling into words. You have to know which energies are toxic and which ones are beneficial. And you need to walk away from things that are toxic. But here in this idea of mental, it's just, I'm using this to get information. Doesn't matter how I feel. I'm going to use it to, like, be in control of my mental kingdom. I'm communicating. I should be fine. But in the background, we have this idea that you're harboring toxic energies. And if you hold on to too much stuff, you'll end up with a tower moment. You'll have like a societal collapse, or, you know, some kind of a cataclysm or an illness or something like that. Because you get 8 more cups to this, you'll end up with a tower moment. So it's like a foreshadowing thing, but just as a general thing, not walking. The challenge for people in the last age of Capricorn would be to deal with toxic energies either in their own system or that they would encounter by opening up their psychic ability without any control over it necessarily. You know, it's like playing with a Ouija board without clearing it first. You're just inviting in whatever, that kind of concept. And then additionally, Four of Crystals inverted. Now, the Four of Pentacles is the material world card for when to hold and when to fold. So it's this different suit, but it's the exact same card basically. It's saying even in terms of material stuff, you need to learn what you need to hold on to and what you need to get rid of. Or it's like saying, well, you've learned how to, even though you haven't done this, you're kind of getting the idea of which material goods serve you and which don't. You know, like you're not just eating junk food, you're doing that, or you're not just hoarding all the money, you're giving it out to everyone else too. It's this idea of knowing when to hold and when to fold, this in terms of emotional, in terms of psychic, in terms of heart space. It's like, what are you harboring? What is hurting you in some way that you're ignoring because it's not part of your rational thinking? And then this is, I'm literally letting go and keeping stuff. And what happens is that this other, is this a different row? Yes, that was a different section. Okay, so the other card that was sort of an outcome card for this was the Two of Chalices. Now, you can see it as this like minor lovers card, but I also see it as like a mini Gemini card, like a choice thing. Or in this case, I see it as people in the last age of Capricorn were learning how to balance their masculine and feminine energy. Now, the feminine energy coming through with this psychic intuition and that right brain creative side. And then here the masculine side with the swords and the thinking and whatnot. So it's kind of like saying this is an echo of this, but you have to, if the queen has a number one, and then this is the progression. I rule with my left hand, I rule with my right. I'm Lord of all darkness, I'm Queen of the Night. That's March of the Black Queen from Queen, and I use it as my song for the Empress. But in here, it's not. It's saying that she's learning to use this higher intuition here. That's why she's got this halo. But unless she does these things, she has to do these things, learning how to balance it and what to keep and what to not keep. Then her halves will be in harmony. And that was instead of the next age of Capricorn being these psychic people fulfilling their purpose, here we're just learning how to do it to begin with for whoever's on Earth at that time. And I was like, how, it was kind of like, what was the result? Like, how did they make out in that last age of Capricorn? Like, how did things turn out heading into, you know, when they headed into the last age of Aquarius? Like, where were they standing? Like, what was their, what was the report card of the last age of Capricorn? So, you know, like 22,000 years ago, they finished their little study section for that block of time. You know, people are like, okay, we're going to stop worshiping goats now. Now we're going to be obsessed with, you know, mermaids or whatever the hell people thought. We're going to form a star cult or something. Whatever happened for, you know, I don't remember. I don't know what kind of idols people worship for Aquarius, but a star or some kind of water bearer, something or other. So the report card, what the end result for the last age of Capricorn. I got 3 of Orbs inverted. And it almost looks sort of towering with this lightning bolt coming down. Now, the 3 of Swords is like the broken heart card, and this is inverted. It's like saying we've overcome the pain that we endured by learning how to do this the hard way. And still in Swords, still in that thought process, but it's like the most emotional Swords card you could have, because it's all about broken-hearted feelings. It's like, if like 6 of Hearts, 6 of Cups, and 6 of Pentacles have to do with heart-centeredness, and like half of 6 is 3, giving you this half-heartedness, half like broken-heartedness. So it's like there's a lot of energy in terms of overcoming emotional pain by changing your way of thinking. And to clarify, karma. This is the same as judgment. So in getting through this, the work that's happened in the last age of Capricorn had a lot to do with karma. And look at all this water. All this water. We have this lotus flower up here, sort of intuition, inspiration. We have these sort of square portal and round waveform here. So it's all about learning how to move through this intuition and mental feedback and changing your perspective and what you need and what you don't need in order to resolve karma coming out of the last age of. Every now and then it gets out. So these further qualified by divine justice, number 11. Okay. So also the last age of Capricorn would have probably been the 10th age of Capricorn, going back to thought information and stuff. And it could have been, we could already have, like the last one could have been the 11th, but I'm just going on the assumption that it was the 10th, because I think it was Hermes Trismegistus was, or Thoth / Chem / Azazel, that character with all those names, was the Archon or Archon of the 10th age of Capricorn. So saying that the last age of Capricorn was the 10th one is pretty decent guess. And coming off of the last age, we have divine justice, which is 11. So we're heading into the 11th cycle. So what we would have come off of the 10th age of Capricorn and then gone I'm trying to think if it would be the 11th age of Aquarius now, or if it would still be the 10th. Either way, the next cycle is going to be the 11th age of Capricorn. So it's like saying after the 10th one, we have this divine justice coming in, right? We're left with resolving karma, and then we have the 11th cycle. And this is where divine justice comes in. We've got this sort of portal here, this kind of like processional cycle, Eye of God nebula situation here. And we have, you know, I mean, this could be Libra here, but it could also It's like the balance of the universe is kept because the wheel, precessional wheel, keeps turning no matter what. When we're looking at it or not, it's still turning. But it also has to do with, you know, changing the way you think to overcome your personal trauma and baggage, resolving karma, and then justice, peace, justice, movement, insight, portal travel. And that is accomplished through reason. Now, this is the Emperor card in this deck. And if we add this 4 to the 11 here, we get 15, which is the Devil, which is the number and card of Capricorn. But look what's happening here. We've come through this age with this karma and justice because of reason. But we've come back here, and it's hard to see on here, but there's the 5 platonic solids. So you're gaining balance over your intuition and your emotions and your thoughts and the materialistic aspect of your body. And then the other element, the ether element, is how you connect to the universe. It's that the waves. And then there's just sort of maturity here because the guy is old in the picture. And Capricorn is usually, I feel like, is usually depicted as sort of older. Do you get the idea of Saturn? I believe Saturn is the same as Kronos, which would be Father Time. So we're dealing with time scales, but also in Greek mythology, Kronos ate his children and then was murdered and spit them back out again. It's sort of cosmology, but it also has to do just with the idea of just being like older and dealing with time cycles. So then I asked how almost came together. I asked how the last age connected to the next age. And I've got Alchemy in reverse. Now this is the Temperance card. And this picture depicts glass blowing. So there's fire, and then there's water coming in to cool it. And then you've got, air from the blowing, and then earth from the silica in the glass. So it's, again, it has to do with balance in the mastery of the elements of the 4 different kinds of energy. So we balance, reason, mastery, and then what links that age to this one is that we are working on that balance still. It's not to say it was completely solved in the last age, because we've had to come through all these other different energies and periods of the other zodiac signs and still dealing with this idea of balancing the elements. And so it's like a project that we put down because we had to do our other classes, and now we're going back to do, energy balance, 632 instead of the 100 or whatever the hell the number for college classes are. I asked if there were any cards to complete the reading. I think, or maybe these, I think these were to clarify. I think these were to clarify Alchemy. And they kind of came out together. So I've got the 3 of Chalices upright and the 9 of Orbs inverted. Now, obviously 3 squared is 9, so it's kind of like a root. I had something really profound for this too. It took me like 5 minutes to figure it out, and now I don't remember what it was because it was like an hour ago. I remember what it was now. The way that we achieve this balance is by heading into the next age of Capricorn. So all these people that are psychically charged are going to be working together as a group to, like, you know, supercharge the grid in order to heal all this backlog trauma en masse. So, you know, especially even coming through the age of Aquarius, the technology isn't going to solve emotional problems. It's not going to solve the sort of like nightmares that keep resurfacing and these thoughts that attack people. So here, in order to, all these people working together intuitively are gonna like jolt the grid, hypercharge it, and wake everyone else up from this kind of trauma and nightmare and clear it. Okay, so psychic people working together, waking everybody else up for balance. And I asked if there were any cards to like close out the reading, just as like an overall, okay, now we're done. We got this, the Shadow. Now this card is like, this is the Devil card, number 15, the Devil in this deck. It's like a nighttime picture of the Sphinx. There's 2 figures here talking under it, and then there's this big cobweb over it, and it's very dark. And it was inverted. So we're going back to Capricorn here, and with the Capricorn energy, with the Shadow inverted, it's illumination, which is exactly what we have here. It's illumination. It's finishing the shadow work that has to do with clearing the karma and balance and all that. So earth times, clearing the shadow, clearing the cobwebs, and these 2 people here working together. And that was it for the reading. And I was like, okay, well, what's on the bottom of the deck? The Master of Crystals. This is the King of Pentacles. This is the ruler of the earth element. All right, Capricorn is an earth sign. It's that Capricorn intuition heading into the future. Okay, we're illuminated from the crown chakra in the earth time, heading into the future. Like, I'm still jazzed that this card came out to finish the reading. What's underneath here? 2 of Flames inverted. Rockets failed to launch. I just want to see what's behind here. This one is like, you've made a choice, or you're not willing to make a choice. Yeah, and behind that, the Page of Crystals. Yeah. A lot of flames and crystals in here right behind this. It just has a lot to do with in the next couple thousand years, people dealing with these waves of intuition and inspiration, but having to go back and ground to deal with different challenges and heartbreaks and illusions. It's in the back here. Back, is that? Yeah. Back of the deck, oh Jesus, it flipped right up. The Ace of Chalices. So it's like we're gonna rule the world here with this intuition heading into the, and then do. Look at all that. Look at all that intuition spilling out into the waveform pattern in the universe. Like flooding in. All this stuff flooding in. So that is what I got when I half-assedly pulled cards just as a practice run, I thought, to see what was happening with the Ages of Capricorn. But I can see really that it's a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. And a stack of cards here that I pulled. It really has to do, at least the Age of Capricorn has to do with expansion of intuition in the way that we deal with our physical environment and how we perceive things, how we tell ourselves what's going on. So it's not just like communicating, and it's not just thinking, it's perception in general and what we tell ourselves that has to do with the ages of change in terms of Capricorn. It's kind of like, because Saturn rules Capricorn, it also has to do with like really intense task, like a really intense taskmaster. If you approach what you need to do in your life in an immature manner, your own the way that you interact with the time that you live in will eat you alive. That's kind of how it is. Like, if you come to your task in your life during an Age of Capricorn and you approach it in an immature way, you will get eaten alive, whether it's by your own thinking, whether you're overthinking and all up in your own ass, or whether it's the environment that you're in, like the physical environment, like somehow, or just those emotions that you didn't walk away from, the toxic energies that you just couldn't let go of because you had to stay in the shadows because I didn't want to deal with it. I don't like the cobwebs. I'm not doing it. But you won't get out of here unless you face that challenge head on. So it's this combination of extreme darkness and extreme light, which is exactly what you would need karma, because it's balancing the dark and the light. I'm going to go all the way back to the first card in the reading. What the hell is he? Come on, buddy. These cards are so thick. So the yin yang symbol here, it's this Capricornian age has very dark and like and then this very light, bright white shining stuff. Okay, there. So let me get this set up here. It has to do with dark and light energy and balance and intuition. So that's the Age of Capricorn. And my sign is way over there. So I'm not going to go get it because I don't need people seeing me walk around and all the crap in the back of the room that I didn't pick up. So if you like this reading, please like it. Obviously, having an Age of Capricorn reading, like, I think infer is the right word, or implies. Either way, it's kind of suggestive that there would be 11 other readings like this. And for some reason, Capricorn is the first one. And I mean, it might be self-serving because I is a Capricorn, but it's also just kind of like everybody's jazzed up on the Age of Aquarius, but literally Capricorn is right next to it. And just aside from any like personal reasons or logic or anything, it just keeps coming up for me. Just the idea of, you know, hanging out on the internet and just having Thoth keep popping up with that Archon of the 10th Age of Capricorn cycling in my head over and over again. So you will like and subscribe to my channel. Yeah, so anyway, I don't really have a point to what I was saying. The idea is that there will be 11 more readings like this. I don't know if I want to do like horoscope readings on a regular basis, but I'm at least going to finish the other readings for the processional cycle. So each age is about 2,160 years, and then there's the plane of the ecliptic changes 1 degree every 72 years. So after like 25,960 years or whatever the hell it is, like the equinox goes all the way back around the zodiac and then comes back. So in like 13,000 years, it's going to be, the equinox wouldn't be in Aquarius anymore, it'd be in Cancer. Or whatever the hell. Leo? It would be in Leo. You would see it rising in front of the Sphinx, basically. And then, so that's how these ages happen. It's the precession of the equinoxes in that way. So it, like, for example, in the age of Pisces, that's why Jesus is represented by a fish. And then in the age of Aries, we have all the ram worship, especially in Egypt. And then in the age of Taurus, you have all the bull worship, like you have coming out of India, and then all the Assyrian statues with bulls, and so on and so forth. So some of it's self-explanatory. What else? I mean, there's another interesting age. Oh, in the age of Gemini, you would have the twins. So in the age of Gemini, you would notice that a lot of different mythologies have a lot of stories to do with twins. And I get that it's weird back in old times for people to have twins, but it's so prevalent in religious stories, and I think it has to do more with, 6,000 or 7,000 years ago when we were in the age of Gemini. The symbol for that age was the twins, so every mythological story has to do with twins. And then you go to the age of Leo, and there's like all these lion stories, and they get passed down. And then you get to the age of Taurus, and you have the Minotaur. And then you get to the age of Aries, and you have the Golden Fleece. So it's like that. You get to the age of Pisces, and suddenly everybody's all about mermaids or whatever. So instead of just rambling, I'm going to try to actually stop the reading. I'm going to say thank you to anyone who has watched, is watching, will watch. Please like or comment, and especially please subscribe so I can finish going through puberty if I have enough subscribers, because my voice just cracked. So do subscribe. I think there's like a bell thing to click on if you want like more notifications, but I've noticed that it's easy enough for me to find out who has new videos on my that I'm subscribed to, because there's like a little like list on the side, and there's like a blue dot next to people if they have new videos. So I think that's pretty easy for me to figure out instead of going into my bookmarks and manually checking. And then, so on my channel, I've got a bunch of playlists. There's Twin Flame, there's Ancestry, there's art tutorials, there's like relationship stuff, and you can, currently have 19 different, although some of them are really similar. I have 19 different tarot readings available that you can purchase. All of my videos will have a link underneath the video in the description box, a link to the infomercial video. The description box under the infomercial video is like my master video box place to put all the information for readings, for art merch, for templates if you want to buy a couple of templates that I've got, coloring books. I've got a poetry book if you want that, and I think that's it. There's also the Gmail link, thecatcamebackatcamp@gmail.com, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, all CATtheMinion, and then you can check to, I don't know if it's case sensitive, but you can check that in the description box for the infomercial video. What else? At the Cat Came Back on Twitter. My Facebook art page is, I think it's just TCanyon Art. Is that it? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's it. I just don't have my little sign to hold up right now because it's over there on my table in the background. Over there. Yeah, so do stay tuned for more Age of Processional Cycle astrology readings. And like I said, I'm not sure if I want to do horoscope readings yet, because I really want to do, I really want to focus my channel on healing ancestral trauma, but I also want to give people what they want to a certain extent. So this is kind of historical astrological tarot. So we'll try that for now. I also apparently am doing clairaudient channel tarot readings because it's happened a couple of times. I guess my guides just know that I dig the groovy music. I grok their, what is it? Grok your groovy mouth music or something like that. How can I not remember that quote? Anyway, my guides give me songs all the time because that's how I communicate, apparently. So there's probably going to be more clairaudient tarot channels. The one that I just did was Jim Morrison. So almost, I would say like 90% of the songs that came in with the reading were Doors songs. So it's kind of like a themed reading. I think that's it. Bye, 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 bye. Take it easy. The pizza of home slices.